Happy Tuesday, besties and bosses. How y'all doing? How's everyone's weekend? I feel a little like today. Oh, did I just go live now? This thing is okay. Now I am live. Happy Tuesday, besties and bosses. How's everyone doing? How's everyone's weekend? My husband had his birthday yesterday, so I still have client calls and work, but I feel a little bit like today is Monday because we had like extra time together. We went out for breakfast in the morning before calls, and we kind of like did some stuff in the afternoon. Had a really nice night together. So even though I was working, it's beautiful having your own business, right? You can move your schedule around. So I'm feeling a little extra like today. It feels like Monday, even though it is Tuesday. But happy Tuesday to you all. I am so looking forward to our conversation today. This is one I've had on the books for a while. We plan our conversations out in advance and feels like a really important one. Some announcements I will make, but just so you know, if you're just hopping on now and you're seeing the title, we're going to be diving into why I'm celebrating my lowest income month from last year again. And I say again because if you've been hanging around, you know, last January I did a live stream celebrating my lowest income month from 2021. Is that right? I can't get the years straight. 2021. And I'm celebrating again my lowest income month from 2022. And I want to share why. I've got a lot I want to talk about here with you. We are going to dive into some of the mindset reasons around this, why I feel literally the most free I've ever felt in my business. We're going to share some practical things in terms of just a practical strategy you can take a look at when it comes to having a lower income month. We're going to normalize a whole lot in business. And I also want to share some conversations that are happening behind closed doors that I'm privy to that we don't always get to talk about. So we're going to talk about all sorts of juiciness today. Before we dive in, I'm just going to scroll, and sometimes I can tell if I'm actually live in the group since we've been having tech problems. But it seems like we've actually been live every week. So I can't always tell that I'm live, and sometimes the comments pop up a little slowly for me from y'all. But it's showing me the red dot. But two announcements. We always do a giveaway on our lives. This is no different. If you leave a comment while you're live or on the replay on, usually it's Thursday or Friday, my team will select someone who's left a comment. We always have a giveaway. This week we are giving away a copy to my self-study course, Get Unstuck, Unlock Your Success. Apparently I'm a little dyslexic. And it walks through 5 of the most common mindset blocks I've noticed with creatives, coaches, and entrepreneurs, and gives you some tools to work through those, create that awareness, and be able to shift those. It is an oldie but a goodie, and we will give one of those away. The other thing that we mentioned on one of these calls, and I won't go into this too much because we've talked about this in other ways, but I am putting my money where my mouth is. There's a lot of noise in our online space, and I think a lot of distrust in our coaching space right now. And I want to be a voice for what I believe is to be, personally, I'm biased, and I think this is the best industry ever. And I think coaching is, it's my favorite tool modality. It's changed my entire life. It's changed my entire business, literally changed my entire life and business. I was talking about that yesterday with my husband as we were celebrating his birthday. I don't think I'd have a healthy marriage if it weren't for coaching. So I am opening my fully booked calendar to you and offering some mini coaching sessions to help you look at your sales process, whether you are at 6 figures or above, or are really crushing on 6 figures for this year and you don't even have a sales process. We're going to take a look at what is not working and help you get clear on the right gap to close in your sales process, to book more clients, to sell out your wait list, to sell out your launches, and overall to be able to add on your first or next 6 figures. I will drop a link for that after I'm live, and make sure you have access to that. Again, I am fully booked. These are limited. So if you're curious about what it's like to work with me, or if you just want some support with your sales process, I invite you to jump on these. I will probably be offering these for the next couple of weeks, and then I don't know how often we'll be able to offer these, just because my priority obviously is my clients and I need to give them my attention. So I would love to get to connect with as many of you as possible and support you. Those are our 2 announcements. Oh, the other announcement that I had, our masterclass from last week, where we looked at how to leverage your millionaire money blueprint. Your unique millionaire money blueprint is still live. The replay is still up there. You can sign up, and when we have the replay emails go out, you'll still be able to get access to that bonus playbook. We are pulling that down on February 1st, I believe. Oftentimes we keep the master classes up. This one is getting turned into a paid mini course. So if you want to catch that, obviously hang with me for today's conversation, but catch that replay before it's gone. That feels important to say because they're usually up and you wouldn't necessarily know that. We also have a new welcome message that have some updated guidelines for the group that have changed. We are actively deleting members from the group. I think we deleted probably 300 people just over the last couple weeks. Obviously, we can't delete everyone all at one time because that wouldn't be good for the group, but we are actively deleting members. So check that welcome out. It's pinned, post out, it's pinned to the top of the group. Obviously, I'm sharing my commitment with you, what you can get from this group, how you can use this group to book your next client, to book all your clients. There's over 16,000 people in here. I promise you there are clients in here. And we have some guidelines to keep this group a place where we all want to hang out. And again, we are actively deleting members. I know some people are looking to grow their group. We are looking to keep this group really a positive environment that everybody wants to hang out and collaborate in. So check that out. I believe those are all the announcements. So those are announcements. Now let's dive into our conversation because I got so much I want to say, so much I hope will be really valuable for you. I hope this conversation is both normalizing but also really valuable and helps you to look at your business like a business and treat it like a business. I feel like I've been on such a soapbox about that for the last couple months with clients because our space is so wonderful, and sometimes I think there's either misinformation getting floated around or tips and tools and tricks and things that are great for marketing, but that really just aren't how business works at all. And I want to be a voice for that the best I'm able to. And so I hope this conversation is permission giving. I hope it is normalizing, and also hope it helps you see what business is really all about and how to treat your business like a business. Because if you're here, I know you care about being of service, but I'm also imagining you are not looking to be a flash in the pan overnight and then you're gone thing. I'm guessing you want to be here for the long term. And if you want to be here for the long term, we want to have these understandings of business and money so that we can ride those waves and be around decade after decade. Hey, Laura, nice to have you here. Nice to see your face. And thank you for letting me know that I'm live, because sometimes, I can't tell if I'm live or not. So to preface, I think what's helpful to understand is last January, I know I said this at the beginning of the live stream, but last January I did a live stream where I was celebrating my lowest income month from 2021. And I don't want to regurgitate all of that. I will probably touch on a few of the celebrations and lessons from that with you for those of you who didn't see it. And I think some of them are just worth repeating. And this year, last December, November. So November of last year, Kim Argetsinger Coaching LLC crossed $1 million revenue in just under 4 years from a one-on-one coaching model without ads and without any other, big programs or complicated funnels or essentially doing shit that I don't want to do, which I'm really proud of. And we have crossed 700K cash in the last 2 years from a one-on-one coaching model. And I say these things back to back because what I'm hoping you'll start to see is I celebrated what I think are really great milestones, especially for a one-on-one model. And I say one-on-one model is because I was very much taught when I came into the space that you can't scale a one-on-one model. You can't make great money from it. You have to grow into groups or big programs. And the only way to make $1 million is essentially to spend almost as much as you're making or to throw a lot at ads. I think ads are a wonderful thing. Ads are not wrong. It is fine if you don't have an amazing profit margin, you're making money. That's not what this conversation is about. But that was the only narrative I heard until I found my coach who really helped me to see you can also make great money from one-on-one and do things on your terms. And that's what I like to be a voice for. And those are, I think, no matter if you're making 3 times as, I have many clients worked with clients last year who are making $2 million, right? I have many clients who are making more than me. So whether you're making more than me or less than me, I think we can all agree those are, very healthy numbers for a business, especially given that, most businesses fail within the first 18 months or something like that. And looking at those numbers, it's very easy to just see $1 million in 4 years, 700K in 2 years, a 40K cash month, right? Just to see these kinds of numbers and to miss that within those numbers, if I celebrated at the beginning of last year that I had my lowest income month from 2021, that means that low income month was literally a part of those 2 years where I made 700K. And so I want to start to normalize that, to see low income months are a part of those big wins you're often hearing. We just don't always get to hear those numbers. And that doesn't mean that someone is not being transparent or that it's smoke and mirrors. A lot of times it literally doesn't make sense for someone to share those numbers. A lot of times it doesn't make sense for their business model. A lot of times they aren't selling one-on-one and they're not fully booked. And there's just a lot of reasons why someone might not share those things, but I'm in the place where I can share that. So I want to have a conversation around that. And with that, again, celebrate my lowest income month from last year, 2022, because every month in business, believe it or not, was not exactly the same in 2022. We did not, I said this last year on last year's live, but I feel like it's so important to normalize. Our business income did not just increase every single month. And the 700K in 2 years absolutely had a low income month last month. And we share this in I can drop the link to this, but I wrote a like 9 or 10 page blog post for those of you who are interested, sharing last year's numbers. And we actually dipped in revenue a little bit, and intentionally so, in that we had some very different business goals. One of them being I was over capacity, and we cut about 25 to 35 hours per month of just call time, not even client service time or content creation time or anything like that, just literally being on call time. And if you have a one-on-one model, of course that's going to be impacted in that way. And in many ways we made more money because I worked less, and revenue share was the highest. The profit sharing model I used was the highest ever last year and really started to kick in. But the point here, and the reason I want to have this conversation, is I'm sharing 700K in 2 years, and we still had a low income month last month. And so I want to share some details around that, but also why I'm celebrating that month, because I know this is going to sound so crazy to some people listening to this, and they're going to think, Kim, you're just saying that for this live stream to make us all feel good. But I promise you, with every fiber of my body, I might be celebrating that low income month from last year more than the 40K month we had last year. We had a couple 40K months, right? So like you can see some high months, some lower months, like that's what makes for. We crossed about 330K last year, 365K, a little bit more than that, maybe 367. Anyway, the exact numbers aren't relevant, but just for context there. And I know it would seem like, well, you would just celebrate those big income wins. And the truth is, what I am most grateful for is that low income month. It gave me so many gifts, and I have some takeaways that were similar to last year, but I have some very new takeaways that have allowed me to feel the most free I have ever felt in business. And I hope you'll be able to take some lessons from that and apply that to your business, because yes, it wants you to know how to treat your business like a business, a normalized business, but I also hope that freedom that I feel, that many of you can feel, because what I know supporting so many clients and seeing behind the scenes of so many businesses is how many people do not feel free in their business, even if they're making a fuck ton of money, and how many people come to me who are making a lot of money, honestly. And this isn't to say everyone who's making money doesn't feel free in their business at all. I do not want to create that story. I think sometimes conversations like this can almost make us demonize big income wins, and that's exactly what I don't want us to do. I want us to celebrate the shit out of the big income wins, but say if we're going to celebrate the shit out of big income wins, we also have to celebrate the shit out of the low income wins and see the wins within those months, and to see they're all part of what makes for sustainable business. And not get into this place where it's like, well, someone making a lot of money must be burnt out or must hate their life or must be coming to Kim or someone else saying they want to burn down their business. I do not want to at all create that story, because I see a lot of people making a lot of money. I have a lot of clients making a lot of money who are really happy. And I also see people who do not feel free in their business no matter how much money they're making. And the reason for that is it is very easy to start to create your sense of freedom and your sense of choice and your sense of safety and attach that to the money you're making. Which means if your safety and your sense of freedom and your sense of well-being or your sense of worth, if that's attached to money, it doesn't matter how much you make, nothing will ever be enough. You will always feel trapped by the money you are making, and you will always feel like you're on a treadmill. Because the more you make, right, there's always more you can make. There's always someone making more. It's just a treadmill of your own making. It's golden handcuffs of your own making. When you can start to see and detach from the worthiness that gets wrapped around money and the safety that we put onto money and making more money, and that kind of treadmill we're talking about here, that can allow you to create so much safety no matter what you're making. And I've got a lot more to say on that, but let me go back to my notes, because otherwise I feel like I'm going to go on 14 tangents, because I'm a little amped up around this. But let me know as I'm going through this if you have questions, reflections, anything like that. So let me rewind the tape a little bit. So one of the first things I wanted to highlight here that I'm touching on a little bit with what I'm talking about with the freedom piece is highlighting. Last year, I call this the dark side of making more money, and a conversation that's happening behind closed doors a lot that I don't think is happening in front of closed doors, in front of doors. And this is a conversation I continued to have with people last year and see a lot. And it's overall this really interesting thing I'm noticing with people who are further along in business, and a trap I got into last year that honestly, if you had asked me at the time, I would have been like, no, I don't feel this way at all. But it wasn't until my low income month I was able to see what was going on. I shared about this a little bit on one of the podcast episodes. But this pressure to always make more money than the month before or than the year before, not because you want to make more money, not because even of your lifestyle. I think a lot of times, I think there was a time in which there was a lot of pressure because people were trying to keep up with their lifestyle or to like prove they had a lifestyle. I do think there are circles in our online space where that happens because a lot of people are marketing to their lifestyle. That's not a bad thing. That's a marketing strategy and that absolutely works. If you want a strategy that's really easy, that absolutely works. However, that can put a lot of pressure on people to keep making money to keep up with their lifestyle because that's how they're marketing. But I've seen a lot in the circles I'm in, this pressure to keep making more, simply from a place of I need to prove that I'm good at what I'm doing, and I need to prove that I'm viable in the marketplace because it's getting more saturated. And the way I'm able to do that is with my income or with my revenue. And I think what happens then is we almost have this pendulum swing, right? Where it's kind of what I was talking about earlier. We either want to hate on the industry and talking about money, and we almost want to create this thing where it's like, well, then I won't talk about money because that's adding to the problem or that's adding to the noise, or it shouldn't have to be about that. And I think there's this really happy medium in that I think it's actually very healthy for us to talk about money. I think what I often say to people if they're having a discovery call with me is that, and I think I posted this on Instagram recently, but the money I make is kind of irrelevant for the majority of people who are hiring. Many of my clients make far more money than me, and I'm happy for that. Many clients who hire me end up growing past me in revenue wise, and I love that. I love that so much. I'm very neutral around that. But the point of that being is no one should hire me, nor should we hire someone else based on their business and the money they're making, whether it is less than or more than we're making, in my opinion. I think that's where we get into having investments where we're outsourcing our power because we're paying someone based on like, I hope I can just have what they have, as opposed to investing in something because you believe that person is a really great fit for you. You have aligned values. You think that they can really support you with what you need help with. You think they know how to help you solve the right problems, whether that's in your business or in your life or in your marriage or with your fitness or with your health, right? So I think that is the case. And I will say, I do think as a business coach, the income I make is somewhat relevant, right? It's one small part of why someone would hire me, but I do think it is, in some ways, it shows I've been around for a hot second. I do know how to make money. I do know what works, right? I use revenue share model. Like, it is a reflection to some degree of what my clients are making. I think the results my clients get are far more important to me personally. Honestly, I care more about my clients making money than me making money, which sounds so jacked up, but it's true. And I think it's also important for me to share these things, and like it's a part of my experience and who I am and what my business is. And so I think I want to say that because I think otherwise these kinds of conversations, we just tend to have the pendulum swing and we start to demonize things in our space. And I personally I think it's so great for so many reasons, and also just normalizing talking about money. I feel like I've been on this like soapbox of money is the language of business. Of course we need to talk about money, and it's only one part of business. And especially if you're hiring me or someone else who's a business coach, I really invite you not to hire someone based on the money they are or are not making, because that's a really great way to outsource your power and not to get what you're looking for in a coaching relationship. But what I'm seeing behind closed doors and where this is coming from is this pressure, because I do think a lot of people are investing based on what people are making, thinking if it's sort of like what happens in the fitness space, right? Where there's almost this pressure on people who teach fitness or nutrition to have like perfect six-pack abs or something like that, and they almost feel like they have, like, there's so much pressure to, because I've had clients in this space, to look a certain way because they believe that's what they're selling and why people will hire them, as opposed to their ability and knowledge around the body and around health and supporting someone to be able to create health with their body or their fitness levels, right? And so we can see, like, of course there's some congruence there, but that's not why you would necessarily hire. I personally don't think that would be the best reason to hire someone in a fitness or nutrition space just based on what their body looks like. It would be more, how can they help me and my body? Hopefully that's tracking there. But I think because we are humans, and because of the way marketing works and because of the way our brains work, there are a lot of people who are investing based on, I saw someone have six-pack abs. I want that too. I'm going to pay them because I think then I'll have them too. I see a coach saying she's made $1 million in 4 years or $1 million in 1 month, right? Whatever that is, that's what I'm going to make my investment decision on. And whatever your industry is, whatever that result is, I have clients who are relationship coaches who then put this same pressure that can happen with a business coach or a money coach on their relationship, right? They feel this pressure to have a really perfect marriage or relationship, otherwise people won't hire them. And so what I'm seeing behind the scenes in the conversation and the dark side of making more money or having these results or success of any kind is this pressure that I see is really insidious that a lot of business owners don't even realize they have put on themselves, myself included last year, of always needing to almost like be able to present perfect results, right? Perfect six-pack abs, a perfect marriage, always making more income because of the nature of why people are investing or what some people can invest for. Let me know if this is tracking. And so what I've seen through a lot of my peers are literally people who have been in business for 7 years, 8 years, longer than that, who are like geniuses at what they do, like masters in their field, making great money, which almost isn't relevant here, but for various reasons want to pull back. They're going to have a baby, or they're focused on their marriage, or they're focused, like me last year, I was focused on pulling back. We had a capacity problem, essentially. Good problem to have, but we had a capacity problem that we needed to solve for. And we had some like legitimate stuff on the back end of my business that we need to focus on. So we're pulling back for those reasons, or fill in the blank, right? Health reasons. I've had clients who've had like real health things they need to address, things in their marriage, basically all sorts of reasons that people might pull back. And feeling this pressure and hearing these conversations of, even though I'm pulling back, I need to keep making more and growing month after month. Otherwise, people won't hire me. People won't think I'm good at what I do. Not, I don't think I'm good at what I do, but the industry won't, right? People in the marketing space won't. And I think this is the dark side I'm seeing. It's like a nuance that I learned last year from the year before that I'm seeing around having more success or making more money that I frankly just don't think a lot of people are talking about. And the reason I'm celebrating my lowest income month, and one of the reasons that it's almost like another level to why I celebrated the year before is getting to see this, but also seeing when I had my lowest income month last year. I think I said this on last year's live stream. But a couple things happened. One, I really think if you had asked me prior to my lowest income month of 2022, if I felt pressure to prove I made more, if I felt pressure like in the online space to keep up or like anything like that, I would have said to you, no, not at all. Like, no, I feel so great in my business. Like, I don't feel like I need to prove anything. I'm pretty sure I would have said that. And what I realized, well, two things happened. I realized when my lowest income month hit, but also I realized when we hit the $1 million mark in 4 years, I was really surprised. It was like very fascinating to watch myself, and I'm sharing this as transparently as I can, even though it's a little embarrassing, but I hope it helps and is valuable to someone. I almost felt shame and embarrassment because I felt like I somehow was supposed to have had those results happen faster, which is, there's so much wrong with it. Not making myself wrong, but there's just so much wrong with that thought process. But also, almost like shame in the lower income month, even though I literally have done a live stream on this. I eat, breathe, sleep this and know how business works. But this moment of like, I didn't even realize I had fallen into this almost like pressure. I'm like, but I really need to prove, especially with a one-on-one model, especially because like it feels so important for me to show people you can make money on your terms, especially because we're, not growing maybe as, I think we're growing amazingly, but like because we're not growing as fast as maybe if I was doing some other marketing tactics or doing some other offers, I almost felt more pressure I hadn't realized I put on myself because it feels so important to be a representative of that in our space. And I honestly had no awareness of that. And so what was really beautiful is having that lowest income month. And this is what I want to reflect to everyone here. Not only is business not a straight line, not only is I mean, there is zero business in our history of businesses. I feel pretty confident saying this. Just look, I invest pretty heavily in stocks, so I see what happens in the stock market, where every month after every month is going up. Most businesses do not track their revenue month to month. Most are tracking quarter to quarter or year to year. And businesses that are around 5 years, 10 years, decade after decade, right? They're not always going up, and that is part of growth, which I will explain in a moment. And so that part I knew, but the pressure part was really fascinating for me to witness. And what I realized, and we talked about this a little bit in last year's live stream, and why I'm literally like, and as I look back over the last year, like even last night, this sounds so cheesy, like with my husband, we were like celebrating my low income month from last year, because what it was a really big awareness smack for me in the best way possible. And that I think so often we think contractions, we think a low income month, we think not getting what we want, whatever the thing is, that is the most horrible thing ever. What I usually find for most of us is there is a gift and a lesson in that. And for me, it was and it might be different for everyone, but for me, why I celebrate that so much is it just really helped me to see, oh, I did not realize how much I was still wrapped around some of this, like feeling like I need to prove, and feeling, and not prove I'm a good coach, but because I believe I'm a really great coach. And what I do know to be true, and what I learned in 2021 with my lowest income month, and what I shared then is, it's not like when I have a low income month, I'm suddenly a worse coach than I was the month before, if that was a 40K month, right? I'm the same level of coach each month. I'm showing up the same way. If anything, when I have a low income month, sometimes that might mean I have less on my plate. So I might be showing up as a better coach. And in general, because I'm so focused on one-on-one, I deepen my mastery month after month. So I'm actually just a better coach every single month than I was the month before, just because that's the nature of growth, right? Anything we do more that we're really focused on, that we're doing deliberate practice around, we're going to grow through. So that wasn't my noise. My noise was literally, oh shit, I'm not proving this worth. And it was just so fascinating, such a gift to see, because again, I don't think I would have known that. And it was so freeing for me to be able to notice, oh, like, isn't that interesting? I'm putting all of this pressure that I don't even believe on, but like necessarily believe in consciously, but it's clearly there. And what a gift to have that awareness, and what a gift to unwind that, and what a gift, I think, to see not only what I find, because I think what happens for a lot of people with low income months, there's also a lot of safety stuff that can come up. And I would say in 2021, that was probably the noise, like the worry for me, like, will we be safe financially? Will we be able, like, will the bottom fall out? And I think I'd worked through that. And so it was nice with my low income month, I could see I'm perfectly safe. Like everything's actually this, like nothing in my day-to-day changed. But that proving piece was where I was able to create a new level of safety. And what I unhooked from, and again, like I just think our challenges, and I'm saying this all in air quotes because I mean, it's only a challenge if you perceive it to be one. And it's only a problem if you perceive it to be one. There was actually not a fucking problem in my business at all, but my body, my brain thought it was. And our low, in air quotes, income months can give us such gifts. And for me, it was a gift to have awareness around what I wanted to unhook from. And unhooking from that feeling of needing to prove, honestly, to prove anything. I love you all so much. I love my clients so much. I care deeply about my work. I'm happy to get on free calls to show you what a great coach I am and to be a voice for our industry. But what that low income month gave me, and what I am celebrating, is it has allowed me to just give so many less fucks. And I say that not to say I don't give a fuck. Of course, I care deeply, but just in terms of that proving energy. And I feel the most free I have ever felt in 7 years in business. And because of that, and so I reflect that here because I hope, I want to read the comments, but I hope someone listening to this will not make themselves wrong. Business, I'm going to keep saying this, business income ebbs and flows. That is how business works. And I'm going to share some other reasons why, and I'm going to share a very strategic lesson. This isn't all mindset. I've got a very strategic lesson here as well in terms of how to minimize those dips so they still serve you in business. But I hope someone listening to this will see not only are they normal, but to see how you can mine a challenge to see if something presents itself. It's only a problem if you deem it a problem first and foremost. There's a great book called Dissolving the Problem that my coach Lacey Sites gave to me. It's a really short one. I'll have to find the name of it and drop it here. And then I want to read these comments. But it basically talks about how a problem is only a problem if we focus on it and make it a problem. And for most businesses, what the other freedom part here that I really notice is you only have to make a low income month, so not booking the clients you want to, not having the launch numbers you want to, whatever the thing for you that gets you jacked up. It's only a problem if you make it a problem. And most of the time, what we think is a problem, if it is actually a problem, this is actually an example from Dissolving the Problem, it's in those like 3 minutes where you have to pay a bill or something like that, but the rest of the time it doesn't affect you. And that was the other thing I noticed. I'm like, oh, if I don't make this a problem, literally nothing. I literally paid myself the same that month. Like nothing in my life changed outside of what was in my head. And that was such a gift. But if you don't hit the launch numbers you want, all of these things, most of the time, the only problem is the meaning you are ascribing to something. And then the gift is not to say, oh, there's not a problem here. Let me let me pretend this isn't a problem. Let me pretend like I'm too good for having challenges. The gift for you is seeing, well, what is it that you're making that problem mean? Because that's where your freedom lives. If you can find that and unhook from that, that is where you can let go of whatever is probably dragging you down. Okay, let me read these comments and then I will share the strategy piece. Laura says, I feel you so much right here. Time is so tricky and we have weird expectations about what should happen in a certain amount of time. I've said to myself for years that I should be further along by now. The truth is I'm right where I am and it's all fine, all good. And I hear my clients say this all the time too. Amen. And I have a reflection on that, but I know none of us want to hear this. We're all human, right? We all have these expectations, but the expectations and the pressure we put on expectations are generally the only thing that get us in our own way and that make us feel crappy. And if I use myself as an example, and then I'll read the rest of these comments, and why I'm celebrating that low income month, what was so beautiful to see is if I just look at that, I'm like, wait, there's actually not a problem here. We're fine. I'm literally paying myself the same amount. Like nothing even bad happened here. All that's happening is the expectation. All that's happening is this proving energy. I'm just where I should be. But what's so beautiful is then suddenly like everything is fine. And from that energy, it's also so much easier to get the very things you want that we're putting those timelines around. I know I've shared this probably on the last live stream, but there is in business, in nature, right? We have seasons, we have contractions and expansions. And what's also very true in business is, especially if you are running a launch model, or you have a model that's different than one-on-one, many of you are going to see ebbs and flows in your revenue. And it's literally going to be you being exactly where you should be and everything being right, aside from the expectation piece, because if you have a big expansion, you have a 100K month because you just had a big launch, it would make sense that you would have a contraction after that, not even because there's like a problem, but you're probably serving and doing delivery on the 100K of sales you just made, which means you're probably not going to sell as much unless you have built in the model that allows for that reoccurring revenue. Okay, let me read the rest of these comments and then got strategy pieces. Laura says, and thank you for keeping it real. Love the freedom behind this. I love you. I'm so glad this is resonating and I appreciate your comments, and I'm glad that this is helpful, and I will always do my best to keep it, as real as possible. I also realize for everyone listening, everyone's experience might be different than mine, but with the keeping it real part and to what Laura's saying, what I do think is true, even if my experience is different than yours or different than anyone else's, I've had enough of these conversations. I'm on one-on-one calls all day long. This is all I do. I have a very full roster. I have between 20 to 23, 25 clients, depending on how many intensives or whatever we're doing, or VIP days, whatever we're doing per month, right? So I'm seeing intimately the behind the scenes of businesses. I've been in business 7 years this upcoming March. I'm also in 2 masterminds with people who are making multi-six figures up to $1 million plus. So I'm hearing this all day long. And what I will say is, across the board, I'm hearing different versions of this. And the people I see, honestly, I see people who are making more money. The people I know do feel the most free, but the reason they feel most free is because they're noticing what comes up, the noise that comes up, whether it's around your lowest income month or some other expectation like Laura was mentioning here, and really allowing them to see what's under the hood there. What is that expectation about? What are they making that challenge pain point mean? What is the story for them or the fear that's being triggered? And using that as a catalyst to unhook. I keep using the word unhook, but I literally mean unhook. Like if we think like usually we can be just like so fused to like, here's the trigger, here's, how we're just like so fused by that. If we can just unhook from that, that's where our freedom is. And that is just what I see as a common denominator around the people who are in the same spaces, but who just feel very free, who essentially kind of give no fucks. I mean, they care. So I think that's what detachment is, right? It's caring so much, giving so many fucks, but being able to unhook so you can also give no fucks at all. And that allows you to run at whatever it is you want, knowing that you're totally safe and okay and free, even if you don't get the thing you want. I hope that little tangent made sense there, but I felt like that was important to say. Okay, so let me just see in my notes here if I had anything on that piece, because I did want to share. There's actually a celebration and strategy piece that I wanted to share with y'all, but I feel like... Oh, okay. This was the last piece here I wanted to share around more of the mindset side of things and why I'm celebrating this. I think for everyone, your experience might be different than mine, but I think the gift is, again, seeing, yes, contraction, expansion, contraction. That is, those ebbs and flows are normal, to normalize the ebbs and flows in business and to see that with revenue. This is literally why I have a revenue share model instead of just constantly raising my rates, because I know how normal this is. In this way, I can meet people where they're at. I think so often people with revenue share think that it's just so that I can make more and more money, but it also means if you have a normal dip, right, you're not paying me more. It's what I love about paying my coach that way. But I think the other piece here, and just what I want to offer in the celebration I see, is how it's such an opportunity for you to notice how a contraction is the setup, how a dip is your setup for the expansion, how a contraction is really what precedes an expansion. And so this is not the lesson. This is not the celebration. This is what I learned in 2021 that I was able to carry into 2022, which allowed me to see this proving piece. But in 2021, what was really beautiful for me is to see, when I have a low income month, oftentimes that's because various things are happening, whether it's something mindset I need to address and shift or something strategically that is allowing me to set up for the expansion for that bigger month. And when you can have that mindset, I think that's also where you can derive a lot of freedom and safety, because instead of seeing it as like, oh my gosh, we had a dip, there's something wrong here, you can see this as, but what if this is my setup? What if everything that's happening this month is my opportunity to allow for the overflow, the pop month that's coming, and seeing that as a sign. I have one client, we talk about like how it's like, this is where the floodgates are going to open. But one of the things I've trained my brain, which is why this didn't get kicked up last year for me, is I really just see like, yes, this is normal. This is how business works. But also usually this means this is the setup for me, where it's like the foundation's being laid for an even bigger influx to come through the door. And again, or it could be that you're serving clients from a really big influx the month before. Did I have one other thing I wanted to share on that? I feel like I did. Okay, well, I will come back to that. I wanted to chat though one strategy piece here, because this was the other reason I'm celebrating the lowest income month from last month, and something that I think is really helpful with this. So if you have a low income month or a setback, right, I think what's really powerful if we look at, and so much of what I talk about is really getting to a neutral mindset, not positive, not negative, but getting to neutral, so you can discern what's actually going on and to treat your business like a business, to really make those smart business owner, those CEO level decisions. And so if you're at neutral, I think what's helpful, then you can see is if I have a lower income month, or if this is what I would do, right? Or I didn't reach the sales I wanted to, or something is making me feel not neutral. Let me first discern what's going on there. Is there actually a problem to solve, or is this my mindset giving me an opportunity for something for me to address that I can unhook from? Once you've addressed, right, the proving piece for me, like once I was like, isn't that fascinating? This is coming up for me. I am feeling this like massive need to to prove here. Let's unhook from that. Like, that is the most freeing thing in the entire world. I really hope everyone will borrow that and take that as you will. But then from that neutral place, what I think what is such a gift, and where you can then also treat your business like a business and take the strategic lens, is to see, and is there actually anything else to address? Why is this a lower income month? So when I have the lowest income month, or just, when there's a variation in income in business, one of the things I want to look at, and what I'm looking at clients with, is, well, why did that happen? And not from a like, why did that happen? What did you do wrong? Like, what did you screw up? But from that very neutral place of, yes, let's look at, I think we always first have to look at the mindset and emotional regulation, because it's very hard to look at your business like a business owner if your nervous system is jacked up, right? So using myself as an example, I first needed to look at that and to release that. And that is probably the biggest reason I'm celebrating my lowest income month, and will be forever grateful to it, because I can ride that for the rest of my life in business, which will be hopefully a very long time. So that's my intention. Feeling that freedom and feeling that safety, knowing, I mean, even a low income month, we have more than enough to pay myself, my team sustainably. Like, nothing in my life changes. And to see what I share so often here, that I know is so annoying to hear, but it is just so true, to see that really the difference between a 40K month and a lower month, it actually isn't that different in your day-to-day experience outside of whatever you're making it mean, right? So there's that mindset side. That is the freedom. That is the safety, creating the safety from within, working through the emotional regulation. When you're at neutral, then also looking at practically, can we just give an answer to why was this a lower month? And I think in that, a couple things happen. First, you take your power back as a business owner, and you can give meaning to something that otherwise will feel very unsafe. It feels very unsafe and very out of our control when we don't understand why something's happening. So if you can take a look at, so this part is a little mindset, but there's a strategic piece here as well. But if you can take a look at and understand why something has happened, right, that already you're taking your power back. That already lets you put some of that footing underneath you. And so if you can look at, oh, well, we had a lower income month because the month before we just had a massive launch and we just sold our faces off, and this month we pulled way back on selling because we don't have anything to sell and we have to deliver on that service. Of course, this would be a lower month. Like, we have some cash payments coming in, but not as many, right? You can suddenly see there's actually no problem here, but I understand why. And that why can, that understanding, even if it's something you don't like, can give you a lot of safety. Let me know if that part is tracking there. So not just necessarily the mindset piece, but literally looking at practically, why are those numbers lower? This was what I asked myself, and this is why I also celebrate those low income months, because I think, yes, there can be that opportunity for what is the mindset, the safety, the freedom piece that we can look at and clear, and such a gift. But also, what is the practical business opportunity? Because your business is always giving you information, it's always giving you data, it's always giving you what you need. And of course, business income ebbs and flows. That's normal. The markets, there's so many reasons for that. And sometimes there's bless you, cough you. Sometimes there's really helpful information. And so when I took a look at that month, one of the things I noticed was, oh, isn't this fascinating? This wasn't a capacity problem the way it was the year before, like the change from that, but I'm still actually serving the same number of clients that I was the month before. Isn't it interesting we're having a lower income month? Why is that? Oh, isn't this interesting? What I didn't realize, because we were addressing other back end things in our business, one of the things that now my team has addressed because of this awareness is we had a ton of clients who, the beauty of having so many clients is also we weren't tracking necessarily where everybody was in their, their program cycle. And we had a large number of clients who should have completed their 6 months, who had gone over kind of a month with sessions, which is fine, but it meant that I was in delivery of client services without getting paid for that month. And again, totally fine. It's not a problem. And that could become a problem for various reasons if it's not something we identify and address and put some things in place for. Not that this is what this conversation is about, but maybe it's helpful to hear. I think just in terms of running the business and the sustainability and knowing where we have availability for new clients, that's kind of an important thing for me to know. It's also really important for me in terms of client delivery I'm very intentional with how many sessions clients have in a program, not because I want to get paid more. I'm on a revenue share model. Like in many ways, I could be like, hey, let's just have fewer sessions and you can just pay me the revenue share. I do believe our sessions help them make more money, but I'm really intentional with how many sessions we have in a program because I've been in business long enough to see this is just what I really believe best supports someone. And I believe if we go too far between sessions, someone's just not getting that consistent support. We can lose momentum. We're having to go through too many things. Like things are getting lost between the cracks. They get between my clients get between sessions supporting Basecamp. Even if they can bring things there, some things get lost in nuance. There's a lot of things that can kind of get dragged out and dragged on. So I really believe in the importance of those consistent sessions the way we have them laid out. So there's various reasons here, and also practical business reasons for capacity to be able to see that. Well, if suddenly you have, however many, I don't know how many it was that month off the top of my head, but let's just say there was, for the sake of this conversation, again, full transparency, I do not know how many, but let's just say for the sake of the conversation, let's say there's 5 people who are suddenly over. You can see how that would then adjust your revenue. But if you're not aware of that, and you can see how it would also be very easy to make yourself wrong, to make this mean you suck as a business owner, to make this mean people don't want to hire you. I don't know, there's so many things that could happen. And to have you find a problem that isn't the problem to then go create in your business, I always am saying maybe more than half of my job, 80% of my job with my clients is to help them not make problems in their business that don't exist so they can stay out of their own way, and to unlearn shit that they've learned that really isn't useful. But you can see how easy, if you're not taking a look and asking yourself from a neutral place, is so clear as to why there's that lower income month. How if you're jacked up or if you're nervous, if I had asked that when I was in that proving energy that I needed to clear and to work through, how easy it would have been to miss that and to make it another reason and then to go solve the wrong thing or create a problem in my business, and how essential and how helpful and beneficial it is. Like, what a gift that happened, I think, because otherwise I don't know that we would have had the awareness, because I'm busy serving clients all day. Like, it's just not, I'm not logging into Satori where my clients book in to see where everyone's at with their sessions. Nor should I. That's their personal responsibility. I really, really believe in holding my clients to a high standard and to having their own responsibility in our container. And we can see how now that we've identified that, it's also such a simple fix. This is a simple thing that I can have my OBM, I can have Katrina, right, just check in from time to time for us to just put a couple things in place to ensure clients are booking their sessions when they need to, and that if anyone's falling kind of through the cracks, that we can do a better job on our end to make sure people are getting the most out of their program. Like, such a simple shift, but also such a gift to be able to identify that. I'm just checking for comments, but there aren't any. So I think that there is that for me is such a celebration. I think it's huge to get to see. I know so often, I talk about this with clients all the time. It's like we just see the big income wins, and we forget the way to the bigger income wins is also in identifying what new gaps we need to close, right? So this is a gap that now that that's identified, and now that we can close that, that's amazing, right? We know how to improve another part of the back end of the business that's only going to help for the overall income trajectory, revenue to go up, even if there's normal ebbs and flows. And so that was the other piece here on the more strategic side I wanted to offer. Yes, check in, mindset, energy first and foremost, clear that, work through that, allow yourself to celebrate from that place to get to neutral, but then also looking at, and this is what I celebrate, is then from neutral, really asking yourself and discerning, and why did this happen? Either so you can see, oh, this is just a normal business thing and there's absolutely nothing wrong here. So you can, again, take your power back, create that safety. There's so much safety in you just being able to see what's going on and why, as opposed to what happens, and I think what happens in our space a lot, otherwise, and this is what I'm coaching clients around a lot, is otherwise the narrative is, I don't know what's wrong. I'm going to give my power away to the online space, and I'm going to search online because I feel like there's something wrong with my business. I just had a low month. I don't know why. Let me see what people will tell me. And that's when you get into the doom scroll. What do people call it? Doom scroll, right? And you're reading a bunch of content. You're just absorbing all the information to try to figure out who has the secret, who knows the answer, who can tell you why this bad thing happened and how it will never happen again. And as opposed to, and the celebration I see, and what I'm honestly proud of myself for, because I think we navigate these things, and I think I'm very, 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 very regulated. I think I'm one of the most regulated humans I know, and I'm one of the most regulated humans who used to be one of the most deregulated humans who had or has, I don't know, I still probably have lots of trauma. I've just worked through and cleared so much of it. So I'm very proud of being an example of you can rewire your brain and you can be very self-regulated and you can allow these things in business to come up. And instead of giving your power away to the online space, right, really take your power back by just simply taking a look at and getting clear on what's actually happening within your own business so that you can know either there's nothing here to address, and I really just get to practice giving less fucks or creating safety within myself and seeing everything's fine, or there is something to address here and I'm really clear on what that is, and now I can take my power back and take the action steps necessary to address that. And that's how I create the safety, knowing, well, if we're taking these steps, it's inevitable that of course we're going to make more money and we're going to move that whole when I keep doing this, I'm doing there's like a bar graph in my head that I realize no one knows what I'm talking about, but we can move the entire revenue trajectory up. Let me see. Okay, no comments, but let me know if anyone has a question around that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Otherwise, I will wrap this conversation up. But those were the really big pieces here. The last thing, actually, I did have one other thing. Actually, two other things. These are quick that I will close out on that I wanted to share in terms of why I'm celebrating my lowest income month and the conversation I wanted to have. First, I'll keep it on the practical level. What did I make a note here? The practical level piece around this, I'm trying to think of how to frame this. I just did a podcast where I was sharing what I pay myself and just some numbers in business. And one of the things that I shared, and everyone, like, there is no right way. Everyone do what works for them. But I pay myself based on the base rate I make in my business from my clients. So I have a revenue, for those of you who don't know, I have a revenue share model I adopted, which is how I scale my one-on-one. My clients pay me a base rate and then 10% of new revenue they make while working with me. It's really, really important to me. I am very clean and neutral around the revenue share so that I'm not in any way putting pressure on my clients to make money so that I can make money, that I'm not influencing their decisions or pushing or pressurizing in any way, that I am literally neutral around that. And it is just like a nice bonus that I get. And excuse me, I have hiccups. That it's just it's a nice bonus I get. It's how we scale one-on-one. And I always tell clients this, like, I legitimately don't think about it until we collect those reports at the end of the month. And I care and that I want my clients to make lots of money, but it's just not something I'm thinking about. So that's really important to me. And so because of this, I pay myself based on the base rate, because I know, obviously I can't predict the year ahead, no one can, but I've been in business long enough, and based on the last couple of years, I can generally predict what I'm going to make every month just on base rate, knowing we tend to be full. If I want to open up a couple intensives or something like that, we can, but I can kind of guesstimate that. So that's what I pay myself my base rate on, and then I bonus myself out when we have a larger month because of revenue share. And so that's kind of how I work with those numbers. And so one of the things I was celebrating as well, and this kind of goes to that, like, and just thinking about how can you pay yourself in a way that creates a lot of safety? Because what I realized with that is, because I pay myself this way, I actually do feel very clean and neutral. Like, I don't feel any pressure to put anyone on the business at all, but I also don't feel pressure on the business to like hurry up and make more money because I'm stressed that there was a lower income month, because I'm counting on that to pay me more because I've been inflating what I pay myself. And so that was something I really celebrated as well. It just in terms of like how stable and how sustainable my business is. Maybe sustainable is actually the word that feels more useful there. It is stable, but it feels very sustainable, and allowing myself to have a business that feels sustainable and paying myself in a sustainable way, and what a win that is. And I think, we have reoccurring revenue, which is something I'm so grateful for, but that was just such a celebration, something to sit in with, even with a low income month. What a gift it is to have that sustainability, to have that reoccurring revenue, to have to be able to count on that and to know that's going to keep coming again. Of course, like, I don't know, there could be a comet from the sky. I don't know, things could happen, but for like the most part, we can pretty much predict at least that part of the business, even if we can't predict the revenue share completely. And I reflect that here because I think that's something so often what happens and what I support clients around. I think sometimes we start picking really large income goals. I have a large income goal. I fully intend on having this business be $1 million per year one-on-one business, but I feel no pressure or rush around the timeline of that because that low income month really helped me unhook from the proving, but also really just helped me see how, and this is part, I think the other part of where the freedom came from, it really helped me see how I already have everything I want. I have the business I want, I have the business model I want, I have the money we want, even in a low income month. Literally nothing changes in my life. I pay myself the same way, and there's such a freedom in that. And the freedom part in that and the celebration in that is I realized that nothing could change in this business, and I would feel like I've created my version of success. I set out when I started this business to make $60,000 a year. I very quickly realized as a business owner living in New York City with expenses, we needed to bring in a little bit more just based on taxes alone and expenses here alone. But I have reached everything we've wanted. And I think that's actually such a gift, and I think something we don't always talk about. And with that, I actually feel that much more locked in on the $1 million goal in my business because there isn't that proving energy around it, because there isn't an expectation. I feel zero need to reach that, and zero, I guess grippiness is the best way to describe it around the timeline, but I also feel that much more locked in on wanting it because I can see I just want it because money's nice. I like that. Not because I need it to make me feel safe, not because I need it to prove to me anything in my business, not because I feel I need to prove anything. And that actually feels like a cleaner and more free way to have a goal in business. So that was one other piece I wanted to share. And then with that, what came up for me during this month, and the other thing I'm celebrating, I'm hoping all of this is resonating and gives everyone some nuggets, because I realize this is very personal to my experience, but I'm hoping there's what does my therapist say? Or someone else was saying this. What is like personal is global. Someone else will know the quote that I'm going for here. But the other thing I realized, and what the exercise I went through the lower income month when I was still kind of unhooking from that proving energy, is really taking a look at if I wanted to make $1 million in a year faster, to like prove that I'm a better coach, to prove like, and it wasn't even the better coach part, it was to prove like this is why you should hire me. I actually went through the exercise of thinking about how I could do that and what I would do. And what was very helpful for me to realize is I know exactly how to do that. I help clients do that, right? I know exactly what to do. I know exactly how I would do that. Without sounding like I'm like doing this, I just mean this in a like kind of in a very neutral way. I know I would do it very well. I know there are certain things I could do in my marketing that would blow my business up in a different level. And I'm an ex-actress, so I know there's certain things I could just do really well. I live in New York City. There's a lot of lifestyle things I could share. We have a very beautiful life. My husband is a very handsome, good-looking man, and we just have a lot we could show if we wanted to market and to sell. And there are things I could offer to make more money faster if I wanted to. And it feels very, 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 very important to say all of those things that I could do are absolutely things that would be in integrity. They are beautiful that other people do them. I support other clients to do some of the marketing strategies or the business models that would allow for that. And it was so great for me to see that and to really see, oh, I know exactly how to do that. I know how the sausage is made. I help people make the sausage all day long behind the scenes. And I just kind of don't want to make fucking sausage. Like, I'm just not interested in that. I have zero desire at all. And I really am just not willing at this stage of my business, because I know not that much would change if we had a slightly bigger month or not, outside of having more money in the bank account, but which is great, and I'm not diminishing that. But I just was able to really get clear on that and see that, and to see, for me personally, those trade-offs are just like, I just really am not interested at all. And that was the other piece that was really freeing. And that's what I meant to bring up earlier, that I hope will land with someone here. And I think this was actually an exercise my coach helped me walk through, and I reflected for everyone here. I think it can just be so helpful sometimes is to take a look at whatever the thing you think you're lacking, or you think you need to do, or you think you want, just to go through, like, but if you, like, do you really want that? And if so, like, what would you do to make that happen? And to see you're absolutely capable. I think the really great exercise example is always fitness, right? If you want six-pack abs, it's not a mystery how to get six-pack abs. It's a pretty straightforward, like, no matter like what shape you're in, it's pretty straightforward, right? Like, there's a handful of ways to eat and essentially work out. There's a handful of workouts you can choose from, and then you're going to do some strength training, some core exercises. Like, it's not rocket science. Of course, you can figure out who to learn that from. And then what I think trips us up is when we're looking at it, I'm like, well, how come I don't have that? Like, the person who has six-pack abs knows something I don't. I need to prove whatever, all the noise that comes up. And I think what can be so helpful, this is the business analogy here, is just to go through the exercise of, okay, well, do I want to be on that diet? Do I want to work out that much? Do I want to go to the gym that much? Do I want to make these sacrifices? Do I want to not do all of these other things and not eat all of these other things? If so, great, have at it. Have the six-pack abs. If not, great. Let yourself feel free and taking your power back and seeing, like, oh, I'm at choice here. I just don't want to fucking do what's required for those abs. And so I reflect that here in business, and to say, I do not think, I think there are so many ways to make money in business, and I think you can make money on your terms. I fully believe this business will make $1 million in a year, but the freedom, so this isn't to say, just like there's many ways to make to get six-pack abs, right? You don't have to follow a certain diet. You don't have to follow certain workout routines. And there are certain things in my business, just like there's certain things with fitness and working out, that I'm just not available for. But the place you can take your power back, and the way you can create so much freedom, and what I'm celebrating is just really sitting into and seeing, oh, that's not a mystery. I could do that. I could do that really well. I just don't want to. And that is so freeing to see. I can, right? Like, that's your personal power. That's your personal freedom. And if I wanted to, I could. And if I want to change my mind, I give myself full permission. And so I offer that here for everyone here, because that's what I'm like, these are the things I'm celebrating and why I feel so free in this business. And if anything, that low income month not only has made me feel more free and made me feel more safe and made me feel more sustainable in business, it helped me to identify a practical thing on the back end of our business that I think honestly is really important for client service, and really important just for kind of the sustainability of our business that we need to address. It was such a simple shift as well. But I've literally been writing gratitude for this month, because I think it's just given me also just, and I probably shared this last year, but just to a whole another like nuanced level of just being so like zeroed in on my lane of like, this is the business I want. This is the business model I want. I love what I do. I feel very sustainable. I feel super grateful. We make great money. Like, I just feel so narrowed in. And narrowed in, not because I'm not comparing, not because I'm not looking at what other people are doing, because I'm able to compare, because I'm able to look at what other people are doing and to see, that's great. Have at it. I just don't want to go to the gym that much, right? Like, or whatever the equivalent is in the business. And just to keep seeing, and I still choose this, and I still choose this, and I still choose this, and this still feels good, and this is still my way, and these are still my terms. And that, to me, is the biggest gift and celebration we can give ourselves in business. Okay. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, y'all. I hope this was valuable and helpful for you. If you have questions, if you have reflections, drop them in the comments. If there's anything you have a question around that feels personal, that feels vulnerable, that you don't feel comfortable putting in the comments, because I know sometimes with conversations that happens, please DM me, but tag me in the comments to let me know you're DMing me, because I do not check my DMs very often. Like, I just don't, because we get spammed. We're not spammed. We get a lot of solicitation. I just don't pay attention. And I'm usually paying attention just to clients in Basecamp and hop on and off. So if there's something that you want to speak to, or you just want like you have a quick question around, especially for this conversation, I'm opening my DMs up to you. I just ask that you tag me to let me know to take a look there or to share them here. I really hope this was valuable for you. I hope that if nothing else, what you'll walk away from this conversation are a couple things. To see that it is normal for income to ebb and flow in business. That's just normal. That doesn't mean there's a problem. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong. That is just how business works. And to see that big income wins, the $1 million years, the $1 million in 4 years, the 700K in 2 years, the 6-figure years, any big income number you're seeing within that has variation, right? The 700K in 2 years, the last 2 years, I've shared live streams on my lowest income months, which means I had two lowest income months those 2 years that we still celebrated the 700K. So I hope if nothing else, you'll walk away with that so you can normalize that in your business, to give yourself some permission to stop making yourself wrong. And then if you take anything else from this, I hope you'll be able to take a look at those two pieces there when you notice yourself starting to make a low income month wrong, or to make any result that you have an expectation around wrong, to check in with first that mindset side of things and just to see, what are you making that mean? Like, what's coming up for you there? What is the opportunity? How is this contraction the set up for you to heal something, to shift something, to allow more in? And then also to look at, is there just not a problem here you don't need to address? Or is there, just from a really neutral place, can you take a look at what's practically going on here? Can we understand why, so you can create that safety and see the practical things you can put in place? Because that's also how you grow your income. Laura says, love this conversation. Thanks so much. Thank you for being here with me. I love you all so much. Don't forget, we commented, and if you comment now, on Friday, we will pick a winner for the self-study course, Get Unstuck, Unlock Your Success. I will drop a link for that free mini coaching session. They are limited. I do not know how long we will offer them for, but at least for the next couple of weeks, I will drop that below. And there was, last week's masterclass, that replay is up until February 1st for Leverage Your Unique Money Millionaire Money Blueprint. That will be live until February 1st if you want to catch that. And I'll be back next week with another conversation for y'all. Bye.